Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled you're here today because we are diving into a truly breathtaking piece of literature. We're going to unpack Virginia Woolf's existential masterpiece, To the Lighthouse. Now, at first glance, this might just seem like a story about a family taking a vacation in a summer home up in the beautiful, rugged Hebrides. But trust me, beneath the surface of that seemingly simple premise lies a profound, deeply moving exploration of the human condition. Together, we're going to uncover how Woolf uses abstract themes to beautifully mirror our own complex navigation of human relationships, our struggles to connect, and, the ever-present reality of our own mortality. So get ready, because this is absolutely going to change the way you think about time and memory. All right, let's take a quick look at our roadmap for today, which actually perfectly mirrors the novel's three distinct parts. First up, Woolf's existential masterpiece. Second, a marriage of opposites. Third, the ravages of time. Fourth, reaching the lighthouse. And finally, meaning in the fleeting. Okay, let's jump right into section 1, Woolf's existential masterpiece. This covers part 1 of the novel, famously titled The Window. In The Window, we are zoomed right into the intensely personal, honestly kind of claustrophobic world of the Ramsay family. And what Woolf does here is just utterly brilliant. She takes completely mundane, everyday activities and uses them to mask these massive, existential conflicts. Instead of giving us a traditional, action-packed plot, Woolf uses something called stream of consciousness. She literally puts us inside the characters' heads. It's a technique meant to mimic that disjointed, often jumbled way our own thoughts actually flow. By swapping out traditional action for this profound mental drama, Woolf lets us watch her characters internally wrestling with life and mortality in real time. It's intimate, it's chaotic, and it is incredibly revealing. Which brings us to section 2, a marriage of opposites, where we're going to focus heavily on Mr. and Mrs. Ramsay. So, the central conflict of the whole story kicks off with a canceled trip. Young James is told he can't go to the lighthouse because of a storm. And this tiny moment sparks an archetypal clash that brilliantly illustrates his parents' completely inflexible, binary ways of living. On one side, you've got Mr. Ramsay. He firmly believes you absolutely cannot disguise life's hardships. But his hyper-awareness of his own mortality makes him deeply insecure, which actually translates into some pretty tyrannical, demanding behavior. Then, on the flip side, we have Mrs. Ramsay. She wants to protect young James from those harsh realities. She covers up the terrifying truth of mortality by making her world beautiful, kind, and nurturing. But she's also highly controlling about it. This is actually a deliberate echo of the old Victorian archetype of separate spheres for men and women. And the result of these extreme opposites? It completely prevents their guests from articulating true feelings or genuinely connecting at what turns out to be a painfully awkward dinner party. Because think about it, if you're forced to choose between Mr. Ramsay's self-absorbed anger and Mrs. Ramsay's suffocating politeness, authentic connection just kind of dies. Now, right in the middle of this tense atmosphere, we meet the eccentric, unmarried artist Lily Briscoe. Lily is a fascinating character because she's carefully observing the Ramsays' marriage. Society completely venerates this couple, but Lily sees the deep unevenness there. She tries to process all of this by painting Mrs. Ramsay, attempting to capture her real complexity rather than just accepting the binary roles society demands. But it's hard. She's terrified that society's judgment is going to override her own vision. She does get a brief glimmer of hope when another guest, William Banks, actually respects her artistic vision, even if he doesn't fully understand it. Yet the pressure to conform is just overwhelming. During that awkward dinner party, Lily tries to resist the gendered expectation to comfort a rather rude guest named Charles Tansley. But with a single, silent glance, Mrs. Ramsay forces Lily right back into line. It's an incredibly powerful moment showing just how deeply entrenched these societal roles really are. Next up, we are shifting gears entirely as we enter section 3, The Ravages of Time, covering part 2 of the novel Time Passes. Here, our perspective dramatically widens and quickens. We literally step outside the claustrophobic minds of the characters to look at the total insignificance of man against the vast, unstoppable forces of nature and time. And the crucial takeaway here is how Woolf uses these passing years to devastating effect. The camera zooms way out. The summer house just sits there, abandoned. Wars are ravaging the globe. And then, Woolf does something truly shocking. She compresses massive life events into tiny, jarring parentheticals. In mere brackets, we learn about the sudden deaths of major characters we just spent hours intimately getting to know: Mrs. Ramsay, her daughter Prue, and her son Andrew. Just like that, they're gone. Nature violently starts swallowing the house, seemingly proving Mr. Ramsay's absolute deepest fears about human insignificance. But then, look at year 9 on our timeline. The housekeeper, Mrs. McNabb, recruits some help. They literally beat back the decay and prepare the house for the family's return. And that proves a beautiful dual truth. Yes, mortality is utterly inevitable, for sure. But life, civilization, and order, they can still bravely stem the tide. Let's zoom back in for section 4, reaching the lighthouse, which brings us to part 3 of the novel. So the surviving family finally makes it back to the summer house, and we see a total behavioral reversal from Mr. Ramsey. He is now the one insisting on taking the kids on this journey. It's a really tense boat ride, but when they finally arrive, the narrator describes him with this exact phrase, stepping like a young man. Why does that matter? Because throughout the whole trip, Mr. Ramsey actually mirrors his late wife. He makes sure to bring gifts for the lighthouse keepers, just like Mrs. Ramsey would have done. He even genuinely praises his son James for the very first time. By bringing Mrs. Ramsey's generous legacy into his own actions, Mr. Ramsey shows us that true healing and emotional progress have actually occurred. He hasn't completely lost his rough edges, obviously, but he has undeniably grown. Meanwhile, back on the shore, we're following Lily Briscoe again. She bravely takes another stab at that painting of Mrs. Ramsey she abandoned a decade earlier. And as she paints, this profound realization washes over her. She finally embraces a multifaceted reality. She realizes, hey, I both loved and resented Mrs. Ramsey. She accepts that Mrs. Ramsey was beautifully nurturing, but simultaneously overbearing and controlling. By allowing for these totally contradictory truths to exist at the exact same time, Lily frees herself from the fear of society overriding her own subjective experience.
And this realization, it leads to a massive emotional triumph. Lily finally finishes her painting. She draws a line right down the center of the canvas. And the really beautiful thing is, she completely accepts that this painting might be immediately destroyed, hidden up in an attic, or just totally ignored by the world. It honestly doesn't matter, because as this quote points out, the sheer act of having articulated her authentic, true vision is enough. The authentic expression of her personal truth is what truly matters, completely independent of whatever external validation society might offer.
Taking all of this in, we arrive at our final section. Meaning in the fleeting, and the core lessons we can take away. Let's break down these core lessons. First, we learn from Lily that art and creativity provide meaning. They allow us to make sense of a chaotic world, proving that authentic self-expression endures long after the moment itself has sated. Second, Mr. Ramsey's journey teaches us about reconciliation and empathy. We see firsthand that shifting from intellectual rigidity to actual empathy is the only real way to heal past hurts. Third, those shocking events from Part 2 teach us about accepting impermanence. Trying to build a protective bubble against time, it's useless. It is the very acceptance of our mortality that makes our everyday moments so incredibly precious. And finally, the power of memory. Just like the Godrevi lighthouse bearing silent witness to the passing years, physical structures ground us in a shared human legacy. Put it all together, and these takeaways teach us a vital lesson. We've got to stop obsessing over rational perfection and start finding the profound beauty in our temporary existence. I want to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder. After seeing how the Ramseys and Lily navigated the unstoppable, sometimes brutal march of time, I want you to ask yourself, how will you create lasting meaning in a fleeting world? Will it be through art, through empathy, or simply by accepting the present moment for what it is? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer of Virginia Woolf's incredible, enduring vision. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.